selling a car in 2025 is not the same as selling a car in 1950 or 1985 even, right?
Yeah.
It's already changed tremendously. So I think the smart dealers and the savvy dealers are the ones that are trying to figure out how do they approach their business models in a way that will set them up for success in the future. To me, it's not so much luck as just that openness and curiosity and saying, you know, am I willing to try something new or have a conversation with somebody that I've never had before, do a podcast that I've never done before. So yeah, this will be my next career, by the way. I'm just going to do podcasts. What AI and what computers are really good at doing are these automated processes that really are just kind of time sucks for us as human beings. That's not what we're naturally good at doing. That's a loud buzzer. No, I think AI, it is maybe uncovering more issues, but that's probably a good thing, right? What you want is to be able to use AI before you get the vehicles in the customer's garage, right, or driveway. You want to be able to, and this is what we're seeing OEMs do, is
preventative, right?
Yeah, it's more preventative. And so I think that's a really positive change from the manufacturing side of things, right?
Welcome back to season 2 of the season crew, which is episode 2. This is episode 2 of the season crew. Anyway, we are very lucky and happy to have Melissa Commutin with us today. Melissa is part of our US team. By the way, the C's office, for those who are interested, is somewhere over there in DIFC. I think I'm pointing like right at it. So we're very happy with this new location for season 2. Today, I think last episode, we talked a lot about the US market. Melissa is also joining us from the US market, so we're really excited to be continuing part of that conversation. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I think you're our first female guest on the show. Woo!
Cue those confetti.
Confetti. So thank you so much for joining us today. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. And this is also my first time in Dubai. So it's been really exciting to see all of you in person and then also see this beautiful city that C's is based out of. So
Yay.
Thank you so much. I have been with C's for about a year and helping to grow our business in the United States. Prior to this, I've been working in automotive my entire career, so 20 plus-ish years or more. And working a lot with dealers and OEMs and the digital marketing side of the business. So really, it's fun to bring this US perspective into C's and kind of see how this is all coming together.
Really excited to have you.
Thank you.
So I think today we do have a few questions about OEMs and dealerships to just build on that experience that you've had in the auto industry for so long.
Sure.
And to start off, our first question is like OEMs and dealerships both use AI, but they're sometimes playing completely different games, right?
Yeah.
From an OEM level versus a dealership level. So what's the biggest difference you're currently seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it really speaks a lot to, I think, even just the goals of the OEM versus the dealer. So the OEMs, I think right now are leaning heavily into AI around manufacturing and some of the ways that they can drive efficiencies around design, manufacturing, looking at kind of things gone wrong in vehicles or preventing those things, right? And so they're using it more from that side of the business, whereas dealers have really leaned into the customer-facing experience side of AI. And so we're seeing them using it on things like websites, like with Caesar, one of our products. They're using it to look at things like how they approach and engage with customers through marketing efforts, and both on the sales and on the service side, right? And then I think using it to kind of clean up some of the data and things on the back end where they're able to look at to drive efficiencies if within the dealership operation. So maybe using processes that are AI driven to save time and effort on some of their salespeople, or not salespeople, but some of their employees.
So very interesting, because I think we've had like a couple of these conversations in terms of how effective conversational AI like Caesar is on an OEM level versus on a dealership level.
Yeah.
And like, what are the benefits of each, and how does each like do we see a benefit as well for OEMs using it, or for us approaching OEMs? Because I think that has been a little bit part of our strategy.
Yeah, it has been part of our strategy, and I do think that there's a lot of benefit to it. It's probably bringing in some technology that OEMs maybe haven't thought to use in the past, or that hasn't been very effective in kind of a traditional chat experience. But what conversational AI has the ability to do is to create engagement in a place that today is kind of a static, like an OEM brand website has a lot of value and promotes the brand. But if an OEM can use AI to engage with customers, they now have a chance and an opportunity to really speak to their customer versus just putting something out there that's, kind of a glossy brochure when you look at what a brand's website can be sometimes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think even from an OEM perspective, like the information that's available on a conversational AI can be used across like regions and stuff like that. So you can get a lot of benefit from deploying a solution such as conversational AI. I think that's kind of its forte, right?
Yeah.
Versus on a dealership level where it has to be very particular to that specific region. Even though the AI can be trained on region-specific offers and dealership level offers and stuff like that, I think with some of our upcoming products that we're looking at, so Caesar, just for reference, we currently have Caesar being a conversational AI, or we call it Caesar Connect. We have as well, I think, Reach coming out, which is a more sales-focused product. We have Serve Connect coming up, which is a more like service level product. So I do think some of these products are geared more towards dealerships more, and Caesar might be geared more towards OEMs a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so. It's so complex when a customer wants to try to figure out what type of vehicle they're interested in, what suits them. I used to, in a previous life, worked for Ford, and we used to talk to dealers about, I think the F-150 had 1 million different configurable combinations. And so, if I'm on an OEM's website and I'm looking to build an F-150, or I need to know what are all the features and benefits of certain aspects of it, that's a lot of information that I would then have to go search and find. So imagine the ability to just say, these are the things that I need, or the ways in which I want to use my truck, and how should I build it? Like, you would have that potential and just to do that conversationally. So it really brings a salesperson's perspective and knowledge onto the website, so to help the customer.
Not only that, I feel like you could unlock certain abilities too, like a conversational AI might suggest certain things that you probably didn't even might know are not customizable, right?
Right.
So we've had some pretty interesting questions coming in. To even our chatbot, like how many cup holders does a vehicle have? Like, I think is a question that our CEO sometimes mentions a couple of times. Like, and the access of information that it has sometimes I think is even empowering salespeople. Do you think that OEMs are a little bit sometimes maybe too long-term focused and dealerships are too short-term focused? Like, we always have that discussion on like dealerships are trying to capture value now, OEMs are trying to build a brand. How do you feel about OEMs for long-term versus short-term, and dealerships long-term versus short-term?
And in the US, I think in particular, well, I suppose it's true everywhere, but speaking to what I know, I think dealerships are kind of by nature a little more short-term, right? They have the inventory that they are then responsible for selling to the customer, and then that is their business, is I need to sell and service these vehicles that are within my marketplace. So by their nature, I would say that they are sometimes a little more short-term thinking, although obviously the longevity of their business is really important to them, right? Versus the manufacturer, they work on timelines that are years long sometimes, right? To consider what vehicles are we building, what innovation are we putting into those vehicles that will then support the market, not next week, but in a year and 5 years. So I just think by their nature, they have different objectives, and they both, it works for both of them.
Do you think that slows down their adaptability to evolving technology? The OEMs, because they're always thinking so long term. To introduce something new, it's like, okay, maybe we'll do it in 2028. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel that way?
In some ways, yes. I think working with OEMs, they have very long timelines, even for something that you might think would be easy or simple, like, using chat on on an OEM website, which is what we're talking to some of them about, that takes a lot more time and effort for them to make those decisions or get the approvals to make those types of decisions, because so much of their thinking process and what's kind of embedded in their culture is that longer term planning.
What is a prominent question you usually get from either dealerships or OEMs when you are talking about our AI solutions?
I think what I hear a lot is just, how do I start?
Okay.
Interesting. And so for dealerships, well, and for everyone, I think AI in particular, it is a new technology. And, we, I think, are getting comfortable with it as individuals, using it in certain ways and trying to kind of play around with it. And do I want to use ChatGPT to help me, edit an email, or am I going to use it to ask questions about, something that's going wrong with my vehicle, and how do I, what should I do, right? What does that mean, or what should my next steps be? So I think, kind of taking small steps into AI, to me, feels like that's an important way for an OEM or a dealer to test out, is this the technology that works for us? And how are we going to use it, right? But I think our customers don't need to go all in, rip out entire systems, replace everything with AI. But I think just finding things that kind of are like iterative changes, test it, try it out. Do you like it? Do you not like it? How is it going to work? And along the way, kind of get the buy-in of people, of your employees, to help adapt to the new technology.
I actually feel like even some of the solutions that we've been coming up with, or that AI is enabling us to create more like it, is trying to close that gap and making it easier for people to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
even how we train our current chatbot, it can pick up data, but I think what the dealerships need to really be thinking of even early on, and I think this is a discussion we had in episode 1 with David Ham, is like just being data ready. And how do you, so a lot of data is being siloed. How do you get it ready to be able to be utilized by AI and trained properly? I think where we're investing a lot of our time, in terms of enabling dealerships to have the tools to easily train the AI for it to make an impact. I think as well, do you see OEMs utilizing AI in the design process? What do you think that is going to impact? So we're talking maybe about the customer-facing process earlier, but what about the design process, or internally? What tools do you think OEMs might be able to use AI for? What tools are they looking out for?
Yeah, I think I can't speak to specific tools that they're using in things like manufacturing, but I think that the ability to create models within AI that allow them to test out things like, test out ways in which that they're going to develop or manufacture different parts of the vehicle, or even just the exterior design. I mean, I think back to, they used to create vehicles out of clay, right? Just to decide what the shape of it's going to look like. You don't have to do that anymore, right? You can now tell AI to build something in a certain way and help you visualize it, as well as create models on, I would imagine, on things like testing the strength of different components that go into a vehicle.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I definitely think, I'm so curious to see where we're going to be. What's a car designed by AI going to look like? You know what I mean? And what have we been doing something fundamentally wrong? And the AI is just no, this is wrong. Do it this way. I'm just so curious to see where we're going to be in a couple of years.
That's such a good point. Yes.
Yeah. So I think with more access to data information, we'll see. So do you think AI is eventually will make OEMs and dealerships think more alike? I mean, considering that it then might be, or will their approaches always be fundamentally different?
I mean, I don't know in the long run how that will look, how our industry will look in terms of how we engage with customers, or what AI might do for the business operations of dealers and OEMs. But I think we've seen a lot of change in dealerships over the last 15 to 20 years as we've moved into a more digital world. And I think everyone's trying to figure out the right way to approach the adoption of technology. So I don't know if that's really getting around to the question that you had, but yeah, I think in some ways dealers and OEMs will start to think a little bit more alike, probably particularly in how they approach the customer. But again, their approaches are often very different and their objectives are often very different. So there will always be differentiation.
I think just for them to be able to make an impact, they will need to be able to move a little bit quicker. Like we look at the trends in the automotive industry versus other industries. Sometimes it being a little bit slower in terms of like digital adoption and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if just to be able to enable speed, they'll need to be able to think a little bit more alike.
Yeah.
Especially with, I think, direct-to-consumer brands now on the rise. What do you think of like direct-to-consumer brands versus franchisees? Do you have a take?
You know, I have a lot of like respect and care for dealers. I've been working with them for so many years. And so, you know, a lot of them are individual businessmen. This is their family business. Even looking at the large dealer groups, though, that are becoming more and more prominent in the U.S., I think.
And you said you work so much with dealers. Like I completely understand that. So is that a threat to them?
It's definitely direct to consumer is definitely a threat to the dealers. And pulls into question, you know, what is the purpose of a dealer in a world that is either selling direct to a customer, or even in a world where you have something like EVs that have a different like service model around them, right? So the industry's changing a lot. There's a lot of pressures on the dealers that are coming from the way that the manufacturers are thinking about approaching their business. And so we can think of it as a threat. But I also think it opens up the opportunity for dealers to think about how they're going to adapt and change, because the world's always changing, right? Selling a car in 2025 is not the same as selling a car in 1950 or 1985 even, right?
Yeah.
It's already changed tremendously. So I think the smart dealers and the savvy dealers are the ones that are trying to figure out how do they approach their business models in a way that will set them up for success in the future. And I think a lot of that comes with adapting new technologies, being open to those changes, and being fast, right? So
100%.
Technology drives pace, and we're seeing changes happen more and more quickly. So it's important for dealers to just continue to make decisions that are smart for their business, but try to stay kind of on that cusp of what's coming next.
And I think dealers are always have been asking for change maybe for years, and OEMs have always been very slow. We've been talking about how like their pace has been quite slow. So I feel like now with the advent of some really new technologies that are requiring you to adapt, and with new models like direct to consumer, those OEMs are now more incentivized to make some changes that the dealerships might have been asking for years. Yeah. So in that regard, it might trigger the OEMs to push a little bit harder, a little bit quicker, and maybe listen to the dealerships, the guys that are on the ground. They're the front line.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yep.
So I think we have our next section, which is hot takes. This is the second episode we do hot takes.
All right.
So what we're going to do is I think we're going to get asked questions, and then we'll see who has a take on them.
Okay. Sounds great.
Good. All of a sudden, we now have our buzzers, and I think we're going to start the hot take section. So we have Priyanka again today asking us the questions. Priyanka, take it away.
Okay, are you all ready for the first question?
Ready.
Okay. With news of Toyota and Mazda working together on hybrid sports cars, do you think AI will lead to more brand partnerships or fuel more competition instead?
That means I get to go first. So first of all, just for reference, Toyota does all of these partnerships all the time, in terms of like working with different brands. And I own 2 of those cars. So they did one with Subaru, and I think now they're rumored to be doing one with Mazda. They did one with BMW. So I definitely think there is an impact happening with AI accelerating some of these, and I think data sharing across different companies with AI enablement is going to, I'm super curious to see where we're going to go with this. Like, I definitely think being able to share data across and get AI analysis might uncover some very interesting things when it comes to design and stuff. So historically, these companies have been very protective of how they develop their technologies, and it's been very difficult to be able to find like opportunities to maybe make growth. But if you just take maybe the like unique selling point of a couple of different ones, or like their edge, and then try to combine them, AI might be able to find those opportunities that humans can then work on. I think to come up with something better. So yeah, I don't know if that's gonna drive more partnerships, but I definitely think it's going to be easier to capture additional value when those people do come together. Then there's all this stuff like, you know, logistics and wanting to data share and stuff like that. So yeah, it's challenging, but I'm seeing more companies want to do that. Especially the auto industry has been coming closer together always, like with different companies being owned by like groups and stuff like that. So more data sharing is happening.
Yeah. I agree. I think the AI will make those collaborations easier, which is kind of what you were saying as well. Certainly, there is a lot of protectionism around the automotive manufacturers, and there's tons of competition, obviously, right? And so you don't want to give away your company secrets, but being able to use AI to look at different ways of collaborating on projects together will accelerate some of those efforts, right? It'll take some of the kind of human trial and error out of some of those things, and then give them maybe a clearer path on what are the best ways to collaborate together. So yeah, will we see more? To your point, I'm not sure, but we'll definitely, I think, see some really interesting collaborations that will come together, and likely because of what the types of insights AI is able to give us.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what ends up happening. A new Toyota sports car that is in collaboration with another company. I wonder who's going to buy that one.
Got the first buyer right here.
I actually bought the Toyota Subaru collaboration. I bought the first one in the Middle East. So I literally, so I was like definitely the earliest of early adopters.
Do we need someone from Toyota or Mazda to call you?
I mean, I know some of the dealerships here in the region, and I know the owners. They're good friends. They're good people.
So second question, we've seen a wave of car recalls in the US lately. Is AI helping uncover hidden issues, or is it just causing more problems than it solves?
Ooh, that's a loud buzzer. No, I think AI, it is maybe uncovering more issues, but that's probably a good thing, right? What you want is to be able to use AI before you get the vehicles in the customer's garage, right, or driveway. You want to be able to, and this is what we're seeing OEMs do, is
preventative, right?
Yeah, it's more preventative, and so I think that's a really positive change from a manufacturing side of things, right? It makes vehicles safer. It promotes better customer satisfaction and trust in the brand, and so I think that's a very positive benefit to AI, in a smart way for the manufacturers to be using it, obviously.
No, I agree. I definitely think, enablement for anything in terms of improving safety or improving issues with a car. I think AI can help capture those issues a little bit earlier, like to your point. I agree, like it's going to enable the testing process. It's going to let them iterate a little bit quicker. I do think as a trend, you know, it's interesting because I think there is more of a recall trend that happens maybe that has been happening over the last maybe 10 to 15 years. But looking at like baseline issues from vehicles in the 80s and 90s, like you just have to deal with that, and vehicles are just getting more complex too, you know, like it's not that they didn't need them, they just didn't used to do them as much, and now we're a lot more we have a lot more consumer protection and stuff like that. So being able to get to that evolution of that and close off the tail end, I think AI is definitely going to be a support.
Well, and thinking also, all of our cars have a brain in them now, right? And you have all the connected vehicle data that the OEMs are able to capture. So you're able to identify issues potentially much earlier on in the process, because now you can see what's happening in every vehicle. Whereas years and years ago, it used to be you'd have to have X number of vehicles come into service at the dealership, and then you manually capture that information. And, at some point someone went, oh, maybe this is a problem that more cars are having, right?
Or you'd have to wait for something to break before you knew there was even an issue, right?
Exactly,
because you weren't
right.
capturing that.
Exactly right. So now they're able to see it, model it out, and understand the impact of some of these issues ahead of time.
I think we got to a point where we were generating so much data, and then the whole question was like, and we used to talk about big data,
Yeah.
and then how do you like process all of this information? And I think now AI is making it a lot easier to process all this information and data that you have. So I definitely think it's trending in the right direction there. Yeah,
Agreed.
no disagreements on that hot take.
Perfect. So let's move on to the third one then.
Okay.
Okay. Is AI really replacing people in the auto industry or just changing the way we all work?
Is it replacing people in the auto industry? Right now, I think it's a mix. I think they're to the point of David Ham, who was with us on episode number 1. Check out that episode. It was actually really interesting as well, if you have some time. But I do think in some areas, AI is more prone to being a tool that can replace some jobs. But to my point that I said is, I do think humans take on a certain level of responsibility that AI can't take. It is a tool and it's not a driver, right? You still need someone to operate it. In a lot of cases, you still need the triggers to be set up. So there is, I think, definitely an opportunity for improvements in optimization, because the people who are doing the work are now using these more advanced tools, have access to more information. That information is being processed and delivered to them in a way that they can act on, or they can ask it for like a way to be able to act on it. So I do think it's more so right now an efficiency driver over a job replacer. But I mean, as it evolves, I don't know where we're going to be.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, actually, as you were talking, I was just remembering one of my favorite movies, which is Hidden Figures, where NASA used to have women who were the computers.
Yeah.
Right, doing manual calculations, and then as the machine computers came in, it did replace some of those jobs, right? And so, but technology is always doing that, right? I mean, even Excel probably took over roles that other people,
100%, exactly.
Right? So that's always going to happen. And what AI and what computers are really good at doing are these automated processes that really are just kind of time sucks for us as human beings. That's not what we're naturally good at doing. We're good at creating relationships, right? And doing kind of the strategic thinking around our businesses. And so, while the short-term fear might be there for people that their job might go away or change, or just maybe, I think that what we should be doing is thinking about what is the next phase of this business going to look like, and as a person, what can I do with my time that's better served in making the business better versus maybe collating a bunch of pieces of paper into a stack and then manually processing things, right?
100%.
So I think that the AI is nothing to be afraid of. I believe that the technology is there to help us out, and we'll all adapt to it.
I agree. I definitely, like, even from a marketing perspective, having worked on like the Seize Boost product where we're supporting with performance marketing and stuff like that, how is like technology impacting that? There's going to be more testing. There's going to be better marketing material out there. You're going to take a step forward in that efficiency first. And then you're going to be able to open yourself up to do more testing, try different channels. Like, instead of getting drudged down, like you're saying, with some of the more manual, repetitive work, that opens us up to being a little bit more creative. It helps us with brainstorming. It helps us with coming up with ideas. But at the end of the day, you can't make it responsible, right? So it's going to come with suggestions, but most of the time, you end up throwing a lot of those suggestions out. I cannot explain how many times I've seen friends or colleagues or part of my team saying, give me 20 ideas, you know what I mean? Right. Just so that they can start a brainstorming session, but they end up throwing most of them out, if not all of them out. It just helps start that brainstorming session. So yeah, I think it'll drive efficiencies. It'll help maybe, turn the gears a little bit. but there is, I think there are some jobs that are more at risk than others. But I think overall, I'm really like technology. That's always what it's been. It's always been figuring out ways to make people's lives easier. So, and from, like you said, all the way from computers to the internet to AI today, is just another step, I think, in evolution, and we'll see where we end up with it. Yeah, it's an exciting time. I think our last guest asked a question in terms of what do you think has had more of an impact in your career? Has it been skill or luck? Sorry, David Ham, if I butchered that question. But I think the skill versus luck kind of question. I think was the question.
100% luck. I've been nothing. Skill versus luck. It's a good question. I mean, it has to be skill, really. The luck part of it, I think, kind of comes into just being open to opportunities. I don't know if I would call that luck necessarily, but having that curiosity around what am I doing within my career, what's happening at this company, who am I going to go talk to about certain things. And so I think that's, to me, it's not so much luck as just that openness and curiosity and saying, you know, am I willing to try something new or have a conversation with somebody that I've never had before, do a podcast that I've never done before. So yeah, this will be my next career, by the way. I'm just going to do podcasts. Yeah, and then you kind of build the skills around those things, those opportunities, if you don't have them already, right? Or you hone skills that you have to adapt.
I feel like you're saying you make your own luck, which I love. Like, I definitely think, yeah, being a little bit open to, I mean, there's definitely like sometimes you talk to a person and just you're striking while the iron's hot. Like the iron just happens to be hot.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes that happens, but you have to be open to it, like you said. So yeah. I love that question. Is there anything you'd like to ask our next guest?
Our next guest.
I kind of threw it at you out of nowhere, but
you know, I think because we're talking so much about technology and how it's changing things today, I think it'd be interesting to get kind of a take from the next guest about maybe other technologies that they've seen during their lifetime that have had such a big impact on the way that we work and live. You know, do they have anything that they would compare AI to?
I love that question.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I mean, I definitely see this as one of your next careers, Melissa. You're a natural.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're really excited to be wrapping up, I think, episode 2. Episode 3 will be coming soon. Thank you for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We are always open to questions, and we always would like to address them. So if you have anything, please drop it in the comments below, and we'd love to handle it on one of our future podcasts. It can even drive one of our topics. If there's a guest you'd like to see, yeah, just let us know, and we'll see if we can make it happen. Thank you so much, Melissa, for joining us today, and see you guys on the next episode.